Merry
right.
Crimbus.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas,
happy,
Hanukkah.
happy
Cover all the
Hanukkah,
bases.
Hanukkah, you know, yeah, it's all. Hey, Merry Christmas and welcome to Opinion City.
What's up?
Yeah, I am one of your hosts, Santa Ralph, the holiday host, and I'm joined by my other holiday host, the one and only Parma Kringle.
Mm-hmm.
It is Christmas time.
Yes, it is the season. It is upon us. It is here. Who knew how fast this year would go, Ralph? It has been gone so fast. Honestly, it feels like we did episode 1 yesterday.
It's incredible. Here we are. It's Christmas Eve where everyone is right now, and I'm telling you, it is unbelievable. 2023 has been a great year.
Crazy year.
Especially for Opinion City. 2024 is going to be even bigger, but here we are. We're 1 week away from the end of the year. It's Christmas Eve, and it's an exciting time to be a fan of wrestling, and it's an exciting time to be a fan of Christmas, especially here on Opinion City, because Sean, we got a very special guest for our Christmas episode. So why don't you tell everybody who we got today?
We have the... I don't know if you want to say self-proclaimed. I'm not sure. But he is the president of pro wrestling himself. Ladies and gents, we will bring in to this festive episode, Phil Stamper.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on, man?
Going on? I had to change the name. I had to keep it up.
Phil Stamper Claus. Nice.
I love
nice.
It. Very cool.
What's going on, man? We love that you came on the show. We're super happy to have you. Merry Crimbus and all of those fun things.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course. Super excited to have you.
Yeah, so this is you are actually one of our first guests to answer the call. You were like, "Hey, man, let's do this." And we were super excited to get you here. And yeah, so here we are. It is that time of year. It is Christmas, and of course, we are all celebrating together here. And so, our gift to the fans is our wonderful guest, the president of Pro Wrestling, Phil Stamper. And so, Phil, why don't you give our fans a little Christmas present?
Ooh.
And why don't you? We like to call it the Dust Jacket Bio.
Yes.
And you know it. Some people get that reference right away. Some people don't. But if I was reading a book about Phil Stamper, why don't you tell everybody who Stamper Claus is?
There you go.
So I've been involved in the world of wrestling since the last millennium. Long
time.
I've done basically every hat there is to wear in the world of pro wrestling. That's been in ring, behind the scenes, been on commentary, been an authority figure. I'm currently the authority figure, I think, at 4 different promotions.
Oh, wow.
And so
that's a lot.
Currently I work regularly with Wrestling Revolver, MCW Pro Wrestling, with High Tension Wrestling, with Honorary Wrestling Federation, and IWA East Coast. And Real Shoot Wrestling. Those are probably my mainstay ones right now.
And those are some impressive names for wrestling companies. Obviously we know how big wrestling is here on the East Coast, but
of course,
those are some really big names to be out there working
some huge
with.
Names.
So that's pretty impressive.
And it's so weird because in my brain, I am very humbled by that. Like I'm very mindful of the fact that like at Revolver, I'm one of like 3 people that don't have a television contract, and so I'm like, okay, I'm very happy to be here, guys. Thank you for having me. And it's so weird the pockets of wrestling and where all the intersections are, and so MCW is typically bringing in not only do we have a core roster of our own, but we're also then bringing in talent. And then I think I confused poor like Speedball Mike Bailey, because he came to an MCW event and then he sees me at Revolver, and there was another event we had done together, and he's like, "Phil, where do you live?" I don't understand. I'm like, "Why are you asking me this question?"
I'm just everywhere.
Right.
As the president of wrestling, I have to be everywhere.
Exactly.
Speaking of the president, did you give yourself that moniker, or how did that moniker kind of come to life?
It was like a merging of things sort of happened all at once. It was so funny. I was in this weird transition. I had been dealing with significant nerve pain in my from my neck down to my fingertips for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had changed up the look of my gimmick, and I was like, I need something different. I need a better explanation of who I am. And kind of at the same time, somebody else was telling I was on an event, and he was talking to his students, and I was hearing it, and he was saying, I believe it was Jake Crisp, like, you all need to be something that is not only just believable, but it's something you believe in yourself. Like,
right.
What is it that you're doing, and what is the look, and like, how is it all kind of merging together? And I was like, what am I doing right now? Because I'm at a point where physically I was in some trouble.
Right.
And eventually it ended up, I had to have neck surgery. So
wow.
Jeez.
I still have, I think they're like, I'm at like 30% nerve damage. It's great.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's awesome. And so it was like, whether I stay in the ring or not, what makes some sense? And there was, while I was even already in the ring, I was already doing stuff behind the scenes.
Right.
I was running press and marketing. I was helping with production. I was whatever just needed to get done I was doing. And so it's like, well, I'm really running things like I'm the president of this place. And it was like, oh, and I had that moment of like, where should it land?
Right.
And I kind of got suggested to do like the king thing. And I was like, that's been done to death.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so why don't I become the president of wrestling? And I always meant it to be like the authority figure. Like when you think of a Triple H as the authority figure in the WWE, that was where I was kind of going. Sure. And sometimes I get the da 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 da. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. No, because one way or the other, I'm gonna piss a whole bunch of group of people off. And so like, no, it's just the authority figure in wrestling, and I will take that, whether that's
right.
Because you know me at these different promotions, you see me in the ring, you see me behind a microphone.
Yeah.
You see me running my head. Well, I don't have any hair to pull out anymore. Behind the scenes at promotions.
I know.
Or you see me do the indie calendar. Like I'm really trying to coordinate and put some things together. So,
let's kind of start at the beginning here. Growing up as a kid, big fan of wrestling. Not a fan of wrestling. If you were a fan of wrestling, like who were some of your favorites? What do you kind of remember as a kid?
I really got into wrestling when I was in like middle school, and ESPN Classic would have like old episodes of World Class Championship Wrestling.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so I was watching WWE and WCW at the time, but then also was getting into World Class, and it was like my first storyline in wrestling was, or feud, I should say, was Skandar Akbar and Eric Embry. And so
oh god,
where that's at in my brain is like, I feel so bad because other than I think Stan Lane, I don't think I can tell you anybody that was in Skandar Akbar's stable, because Skandar was the manager.
Right.
It was the manager trying to take down the hometown hero Eric Embry.
Yeah.
And it was Embry's feud with the manager. And it's like, oh yeah, this kind of echoes some things today in my life. And it was just that was in my brain. And so when I got into it, this is probably telling of my life. When I get into things, I get into things.
Right.
So I started watching like all of the old pay-per-views, anything I could get my hands on, because I wanted to just watch.
Right.
And so like I kind of in my brain blend a little bit with where I got in, because I just started like, we need to watch this tape. We need to watch this video. I need to learn.
Yeah.
And so in middle school, I am one of those kids that wrote letters to like the WWE and WCW.
Oh, wow.
Like, why can't kids wrestle too? WCW got back to me.
Oh, wow.
They actually wrote 2 letters to me. I mean,
2 letters.
They were basically a form letter. I think they changed something like the first paragraph, but it was like, hey, typically you have to be 18 years old. Typically you have to, not typically, you have to go get trained.
Yeah,
of course. Buy our book on places that you can go train. Never bought the book. I kind of regret.
Cheap plug.
It was amazing.
That's funny.
And so, didn't buy the book.
You're like, no, I don't want it. No.
I don't even know how.
Not for me.
I don't know how Phil Stamper at 12 years old found the addresses for
right.
WCW.
How did you even find that?
I don't even like.
That's great.
I feel like maybe an issue of Pro Wrestling Illustrated might have had an address.
Yeah. So
you searched that stuff. You searched it.
I can tell you, it's funny that you brought up Skandar Akbar and Eric Embry. I can remember watching wrestling on ESPN, and I remember my mom was telling me, you need to write. We had a store up at the corner from our house, and she's like, you need to go get milk. And I'm like, but Mom, I'm watching Eric Embry and Tojo Yamamoto in a steel cage. I can't go. She's like, you have to go get milk.
You have to go.
I literally ran up to the store, and I remember the clerk in the store was like, what are you running for? And I'm like, Tojo Yamamoto and Eric Embry are in a steel cage. And she looked at me like I had 12 heads. Yeah.
I feel really bad, and now I'm trying to look up his name because in the moment my brain is totally blanking on people's last names. But I know so the Iron Claw movie is about to come out.
Yes, I can't wait. I can't wait.
The actor there's an actor that's playing Skandar Akbar in the movie.
Oh, really?
And I know
that's
him.
awesome.
And I was like, you're
awesome.
playing Skandar? Like, you have no idea. Like in my heart, like what that means. And he himself is also like, I met him through acting life, but he's also like, he also is an inspiring pro wrestler. So it's like, okay, this world is converging.
Right.
Tell me everything. I want to know.
So, where did you start your training in wrestling? Where does the journey begin for Phil Stamper?
So I first started working in the back for promotions.
Okay.
I made that decision when I was graduating high school. Like whatever I do, I have to pay for it.
Right.
And so let me have a background in something. So goodness forbid if anything should happen, neck surgery, that I have things to land on. And so I decided I'm going to pay for college. And while I was in college, I was misdiagnosed with a cancerous condition.
Oh,
or a precancerous condition.
Oh, how do you get misdiagnosed?
So the doctor looked at the damage. It was in my esophagus. Looked at the damage. Was like, it looks like this precancerous thing called Barrett's esophagus, which eventually will lead to cancer because it's like a mutation in your cell structure, and once it starts changing, it doesn't stop.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, and this developed in my brain a timeline like, well, it's now or never. I don't know in now I still don't know how I did it because I was working 2 jobs just to get through college. I was like, I'm going to find the money to go to training now because it's now or never.
Right.
And never might be a lot closer than I think. And then the doctor, I followed up with the doctor because I wasn't hearing anything back. And he never waited for the pathology to come back, the lab report. He just went off what he was visually looking at, was like, I never said this. That didn't happen. I was like, you mean my mom, the nurse, who was in the room with me, who was like, hey, Phil, what's Barrett's esophagus? Because she didn't know. She was an obstetrics nurse. And so like when I tell her, she's like, no, we had this conversation. And I'm like, okay, I'm not losing my mind in that like post-meditative haze. Like, no, like, and so I remember the doctor's like, well, we'll talk about it the next time you see me. I'm like, you will never see me.
You will not see me again.
But that really pushed me like, okay, it has to be now. And so I went to a place called the Dominion. It was in Owings Mills, Maryland.
Okay.
And it was a place of convenience. And also at the time, like, I didn't know enough to know enough that I probably should have gone somewhere else first. And so really, after like I had my matches there at their place. And then as I went out, I learned really quick, like, oh, I need to learn more. That learning doesn't stop. And so, went down a series of seminars with, I know people don't know who he is now, but Brian Wenzel, who was with WXW in Pennsylvania, and then I went to OVW. He was at the time he was on OVW television, he was one of only 2 non-developmental talents on OVW television. Did workshops with him, with Mike Quackenbush, with Tran Acid and Johnny Kashmere, the SAT, Dr. Tom Pritchard. Like I was like, I need to soak this up.
That's a who's who of names right there, man.
Right. I mean, but I felt like you had to, like, you had
of course.
Learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so like there was like all guns blazing, as best as I could.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Really cool. Yeah. So do you, and we ask this of a lot of people that come on, and we get varied answers. I know being in the world of professional wrestling, it's there's a lot going on. You're always kind of doing something, but do you follow much wrestling now? Do you get a chance to watch much wrestling, or is it because I know a lot of guys are really busy with what they're doing.
It is a little more
exactly.
it's a little more intermittent now than it used to be. largely because not only am I on the road, I also do have another full-time office job.
Oh, that will get in the way of things.
Yeah, I'm involved with what started as like an on-camera authority figure has also turned into behind the scenes. I'm also doing stuff for a couple of different promotions. So it's like I'm actively doing it. So sometimes it's hard to, find that extra time to watch. So there are times I'll be like in the living room with my laptop watching wrestling while I'm working on a press release, talking to somebody about an event, dealing with the
ADHD things, man. ADHD things. Yeah. Always.
Right.
I can't watch wrestling without having something else to do. It's just the way my brain works. I need to be preoccupied in order to watch. It makes no sense.
Well,
you're more focused on those individual things.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to be distracted by something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we're at a point where, and we've talked about this on the show before with certain people when we talk about this, but it's such a great time to be a wrestling fan, but it's also a very hard time to be a wrestling fan because there's so much content out there that is so readily available at your fingertips that, you'd practically have to make it your full-time job to keep up with everything.
It's like a double-edged sword. It's great because we're in this boom period of hey, there's all this wrestling to watch other than just two brands. But also at the same time, it's, hey, there's all this wrestling to watch and there's no time to do it.
Yeah, it's really tough.
Like somebody will come up to me and be like, "Hey, have you seen this match from Japan?" And I'm like,
no,
sorry.
So, what have been some of your favorite places that you've wrestled at so far in your career?
I had the opportunity to be in a couple matches at the ECW arena pre
that's
restoration
cool.
or whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What would you call it now? Like post rehab.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
So like that was cool. I did that for Pro Wrestling Unplugged. In the day in Philadelphia. Wow, my brain is like I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of just where I've had some cool matches. Like I love technical wrestling. I have a background
it's so good.
My own personal background is in wrestling, like amateur wrestling and then judo and jujitsu. So like I love watching like good grappling. And I am that guy. And so like I'm not like necessarily like let's do a death match. That's not me. But I totally respect it. Like And so one of my favorite matches I ever did was a hardcore match.
Oh, there you go.
But it was probably the most fun match I've ever had in my life.
Oh, there you go.
And it just flowed so well. Little boo-boos that happen in a match, but at the same time, like it was so solid of a match between me. It was a guy named Court Montgomery. He's out of Virginia, but the match was in North Carolina at a company called AIWF Mid-Atlantic. And like just had a blast. At that same company, I won a 2-ring steel cage Money in the Piggy Bank ladder match.
What?
7 people in that match.
Try saying that 5 times fast.
Right.
What?
And like this isn't any more independent wrestling. The ladder broke.
Of course.
And I was like, "Hey, ref, you have to hold this ladder." And he was like refusing to hold the ladder. I'm like, "It literally will not stand. I need you to hold the ladder."
Wow.
That makes a good point because we say that a lot on this show. Me and Rafa both said it in our own opinions. Opinion City. But like, what's your take on like, say AEW or WWE? You see the refs holding the ladders. Do you think they should not be doing that, or do you think that I guess in a way it's for safety?
That's exactly where I was going. It's for safety. Like a ref is checking on somebody when after a bump, you see them checking on everybody. Like, are you conscious? Like,
right.
That one little preventative step of this extra flexible thing that isn't like people look at a ladder and they're like, oh, it's a completely solid object. Where is it sitting on?
Yeah.
Like, is it really secure? Like I've seen professionals on ladders fall off of them,
right?
Like whose job it is to go up and down a ladder all day long doing something. And so why wouldn't they? So like I don't see it as that big of a deal. Now when they're helping to set up a structure of things, that's a different conversation.
Yeah. Like, there you
go. One of the things that, and again, when death matches are done right, when hardcore matches are done right, I totally respect them and I love to watch them. But when I see here you have action motion, there's a fight going on, we're stopping everything, and the both of us are coming together, and we're setting up the chairs and the trash cans and the glass panes, and we're working together to do it.
It totally breaks the whole notion of the match. Like it sort of takes you out of the match.
No, again, not everybody does that. That's not me discrediting.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like those people who do it that way. Like and so like there's somebody there's somebody in particular in mind I'm thinking of, and I was like, we have to do this match this way, and it's like, no, this is bad. And that same person that I'm thinking of, I just realized at least Ralph might know who it is. I'm like, so psychically, I'm like sending you a beam. There was a ladder match, and randomly, so they're getting ready for the end of the match. Okay, great. You feel it. It's coming. Randomly, by itself, whatever was holding the belt up broke.
Oh no!
And the person underneath it caught it.
Oh,
that means they win the match, right?
Yeah, right. That means they win. Yeah, exactly.
They stop everything and they reset the belt back up so they can go through and finish the match, of which lasted another 2 minutes.
That's when you do it improv and you just that person wins.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
And the person who caught it did end up winning the match.
Yeah, there you go. Of course.
And I'm like, that would have been beautiful. That would have been like perfect. Like, do it. No. No. We have.
I can't even imagine. I can't imagine that because I've seen some things in my day. But you know, we were talking before we got on the air about a promotion that we both know of, and I don't know if you were. I don't believe you were there at the time, but they had a steel cage match one time, and for some reason the cage that they bought didn't fit the ring that they owned.
Of course.
And so when they went to set up the cage, it would not stay connected. So for the entire match, they had people standing around the outside of the cage, holding the cage up against the ring. Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same place. That might have been the same place. I'm thinking of it because
wouldn't surprise me.
So what people might not know is that, you know, rings are not necessarily standard. So if you look at a ring and let's say it's an 18-foot ring, some of them are 18 feet and 4 inches. Like, and so there's things like that. Some rings are built so the cages fit a certain way. Like, ring is like, so it does depend a little bit on the cage and on the ring.
Yeah.
And I remember I was at this was baby Phil in wrestling, and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna do the drives, I'm gonna work security, I'm gonna do whatever I can.
Yeah.
And I was at this one, and my brain's like, I wonder if this is the same event. The ring just didn't fit, and so like they did, and they also, I feel like they didn't have the right parts to even like connect it the right way, and so they literally used like zip ties on the corners of the ring or on the corners of the cage.
Yes, that's that's
and
the one.
The first time somebody, and it was a multi-person cage match.
Okay.
And so the first time somebody ran the ropes, bing, goes the zip ties.
Oh no.
And so all of us just like charge the ring, and I'm in this corner, and like meanwhile Chris Hamrick and Steve Corino are just bleeding on top of me because I'm in the corner trying to hold the cage up.
Great.
It's one of my weirdest favorite memories.
Yeah.
Well, that sort of ties into my next question, and I guess maybe that was the most, you know, what's been the most fun thing about being an indie wrestler, and what's been the most unfun thing about being an indie wrestler? I
mean, the most fun is like really when I look at it, like the people I'm the closest to, the people who are my like best friends, I met and know because of wrestling. Like they will always be a part of my life, and actually my two people I would probably say are my two best friends are no longer involved in wrestling, but we're still like they're still my best friends.
Right.
The I mean, the suckiest thing is like when you get hurt, like like, and I've always been in that situation where I'm not, I don't know how to word this. When I first started training, I lived in Western Maryland, so it's a very mountainous part of Maryland, and I was driving to Baltimore, which is 2 hours away, to go to training, but nobody was really between me and there to like, let's ride together. Yeah. And when I was then trying to work on events, I was finding that like there was this circle of people that did like Maryland, maybe up to Philly and Jersey. There was a circle that did like West Virginia to Pittsburgh, but there wasn't anybody that really crossed Western Maryland. So I'm so and now I live in Southern Maryland. It's sort of the same situation. There's not really a lot of people that, you know, cross the same paths.
Yeah.
And so doing a lot of those drives by myself, I'm both very comfortable and used to it, but then also like that also meant I had to do and fix and handle a lot of things by myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody else to really like help me figure it out, rely on. Like, it's like, oh, it just is what it is.
It's always nice to have like a driving buddy, you know?
Right.
Just someone there.
I mean, so now I am like the car of requirement. I have like a CPR kit. I have a sewing kit in the car. Like I have random equipment. Like
literally the man of many things.
Right. I felt like you had to be. I have a ring bell in my car.
Yes.
Like, I will always have a ring bell in my car.
If you're gonna be the president of pro wrestling, you better be prepared
for everything, for anything,
exactly,
anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that ring bell has come in handy at quite a few events. At
See, there you go.
Events that people don't even realize.
You had it ready as the president. You were prepared for.
That's right.
All of it.
Yeah. So over the years in indie wrestling, do you have maybe some favorite opponents or favorite matches or maybe favorite places you've wrestled?
I mentioned the hardcore match that I had with Court Montgomery, and that was like I said, that's one of my personal like favorite matches I ever did. I got to work Eddie Valentine at a match in Pennsylvania. I think for Atomic Championship Wrestling, and that was just great because again, I love that grappling style, and there's not many people that like really know how to do it well.
Right.
And it was like, here's Eddie, and he just was like, this is awesome. Like, can we go? Like, we went to like, I think a time limit draw, and that like it was really genuine to feel the crowd go like 5 more minutes. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And so like, man, I wish we could have that opportunity again. Because I don't have many of that. But like there are a lot of like special places that you just get like this amazing energy, and it might only be for that moment of time that you're there. I've worked for a couple different promotions in this. There's a town in West Virginia called Nitro, West Virginia.
Nitro.
It got its name because it's sort of a suburb of Charleston, and in World War II they built munitions for World War II, and so there was a munitions factory, and so it became known as Boomtown. Then it became Nitro, and it was Nitro WCW. Now we're Nitro West Virginia. So and I had this. So here I am, and at the time was going down every other weekend to work this event down there. Company no longer exists, well at least not in the same way. Called XMCW,
right?
And we would pack that. We would have like 300 to 400 people every other week in this building. And for an independent, even now there's a lot of independent events that are like there's some companies on television that would really like a crowd of that size, and they were just into it, and the energy was so awesome. And I've gone back and I've now worked for 2 different companies that have been in that building, and they've never gotten those crowds. And it's like, all right, I missed that. Like I missed that.
Yeah.
And like now with MCW, like there have been the event that we had, the Hardys, when they were in the middle of the golden the oh gosh, what did they call it? The where they were trying to get tag team belts from everywhere. Exploration for gold.
There you go.
They came to MCW, like packed the place. Like I mean, packed the place. It was 4-figured amounts of people in that space, and it was great. When Revolver came back, the first event we had back from the pandemic, we ran in Des Moines, and over 1,000 people in that building, and it's like
crazy.
That's amazing.
That's
And what the random moment in my brain, because I'm like, again, Wrestling Revolver, I'm one of the few people that I'm not on television. Like, okay. And though had been a part of an active storyline, we hadn't run in 2.5 years because of the pandemic. And so the semi-main event was Jon Moxley versus Jimmy Jacobs.
Wow.
And so
that's a matchup.
Right. And so I now come out for the main event, and I walk out, And the noise I got just by walking out was louder than anything I heard from that evening so far.
Whew.
And I was like, and my brain's making this like, is this really happening?
Yeah, right. Is this really for me?
And so I grabbed the microphone, and there's another chorus of boos louder than anything I've heard. And I'm like, this is so awesome.
Right.
And you just like take in that energy and make it work for you. And like the Revolver crowds are just awesome because they just like that energy just pours through them.
Right.
And so like we've been very fortunate in like in Dayton, Texas and Ohio to like just Dayton, Texas and Iowa. I was like, wait a minute, I'm missing a place. And California, we just went to Los Angeles back in November, like to really have, packed houses who are loud and give you that energy that you need. Like they're just awesome places.
Do you have any opponents that are like your dream opponents, like that you haven't faced, like you want to face?
I mean, in my brain, because again, on the technical grappling side,
in the brain, brain,
in my brain, I'm like, I want a Zack Sabre Jr. Like,
I mean, of course, he
like
is
that.
he is the grappler wrestler,
right? Daniel Bryan would be cool, Sure. Then there's a side of like, and this may just happen, like it might not be seen in front of a crowd, but Sami Callihan and I one day are gonna like throw fists. Like that's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like when he turned to me like 3 months ago and goes, me and you have never gotten into a fight. I'm like, do we need to? Like, we disagree on
I'm
things.
just saying, like we can fight, we can have a match together.
I was like, okay. Like, I mean, he did put skewers in my head like about 3 weeks ago.
I'm sure that's fun.
No.
Good times.
It's about as much fun as you might think skewers.
I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, it's not.
The photos looked cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course.
Well, that's what it's all about.
It's all about the photos,
right? I mean, there's sort of like this laundry list because there's people out there that like I who I know and love, like both my association with them or like I watch their stuff and I like appreciate the work that they do. Like everywhere from like people who are just starting out, like a Junie Underwood, who's like really garnered a lot of buzz and attention. Like I know he can go, and like I want to see that harnessed more. I see a guy like a Vinny Pacifico who is, oh my gosh, he's slaying it with like the promos he's doing. He's really pushing it to get out there.
Yeah.
He's in like next week he's in Japan. Like, man, that would be awesome to do some stuff with him. Tim Donst is a good friend of mine, and like we've worked together on projects, but we've never actually like been in a match together before. And it's like, I just like want to like I just want to ring. Like let's just meet up in a ring and go.
Yeah, right.
Like there's people like that I think like, wow, this would be like really cool just to like sit back and like work, like do a match with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is just something that I thought of off the top of my head, but what do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy performing in the ring, or do you enjoy like the backstage kind of work you're doing?
No.
No. Put a camera in front of my face. Let me be in front of the camera, for the love of God.
Oh my.
And more because like it's hard to describe. I would rather, because think of this, I would rather be in front of that rabid crowd in Des Moines, Iowa, in front of 1,000 people, yelling and cursing at me and saying whatever they're saying to me, and being in a ring, rather than being the person behind the scenes that sometimes has to hit play.
Yeah,
at the right moment.
Of course, and it has to be at the right time.
Right,
timing is everything, especially with camera angles. So, like, if you miss that angle, that's it.
Right. And so, like there's a part of my brain that's driven crazy by the little nudgy nuances of things.
Right.
Like we will be setting up for an event, and Revolver in particular has like a projector and a projector screen, and like I'm like, it has to be perfect. It has to be like right. Everything has to fit. And like people were like, Phil, like it's gonna be okay. Like, there's like a little centimeter right there. Don't worry about it. Like
it's gonna be okay. Like, guys, don't freak out. It's gonna be okay.
But I'm in my brain, I'm like, it's not okay. It's not okay. Yeah.
So there's been a hot button topic that me and Ralph wanted to get your opinion about in the world of wrestling. And that is, what is your take on fans meeting wrestlers at the airport?
It's a little cringy. Like a genuine, unique encounter. Like, I'm waiting for my plane. Here comes somebody. They sit down. Like, oh, that's really cool. Like, and you engage in a conversation. That's one thing.
Right.
It is different when it's like, and part of my brain's like, how do they know? Like,
yeah,
here are these like, I saw like the one video that came out a few months ago that was like, here's Asuka, and she's in the hallway in the airport, and like fans are around her with her action figure.
Yeah. And
like posters and stuff with her on it to have her sign. I'm like, how do they have this at the ready?
Right.
Like with her to sign. Like, and so like, that feels very stalkery. Like, and I get it. Like, I get it from the fan perspective. Like, hey, I want this opportunity. Maybe I can get this opportunity.
Right.
And it's like, they have to be camping out all day at something like that. And I'm like, there's a moment. But at the time when somebody then goes, I need a minute. Like if Asuka's like, I can't right now. I hope that would be respected. Yeah. And I know there's people who don't respect that. There's people who would be very mad. And I think I think
there's ways to do it. And I know from Ralph's experience, and he's told me plenty of stories, Ralph and his friends have done it in a very respectful way, while other ones kind of, like you said, kind of shove in their face and say, hey, can you please sign my autograph? So, that's more invasive, but the way, Ralph has experienced it, it's a much more respectful way of doing it.
I feel like there's ways to be respectful about it. I've never gotten in anybody's face, and I've stood off to the side and I've waited till people were done doing whatever they're doing, and I was always very respectful in my conversations with people. I think for me it was a lot different because my motivations, I think, were different than others. You have these people, and I will tell you, and I'm going to throw out a name here, and nothing against her, but Kelly, for example, she was a person that somebody would walk up to her and they would have a stack of 50 photos and she would sit there and just sign all of them, like 50 of the same photo.
Right.
For me, it was always, I was meeting people that I may never have a chance to meet any other time. They're not high enough on the card that they get their own autograph signings. They're never anywhere near me. These are people, and a lot of times, these are people that I try to support. I try to support their business. But there are too many people out there, and videos like the Asuka video, I know Mickie James has talked about it before.
Plenty of times.
There are a number of wrestlers out there who have had very bad experiences with it because people do not respect wrestlers as human beings. They only see a person that they can get something from. Whereas, I try to be respectful about it because I respect the people that I'm meeting, but that's not often the case. And you see many times where it just people, as you said, it gets over the line and it gets very stalkery and it gets very creepy. And it's just, it's not a good situation for the wrestlers anymore is what it is. It's just not good because people can't be respectful. So.
Yeah,
it does go over the line quite a bit, but all right, let's get back to some more happy memories because
let's get into some Christmas memories. Let's get into some Christmas.
Let's talk Christmas.
It is Christmas. Let's talk Christmas.
Yes. So, Stamper Claus, do you have a favorite Christmas memory?
I mean, I'm gonna say as a kid, man, I wanted to see Santa.
I mean, who didn't?
and so in between my bedroom and the living room, there was. My parents used to say that the family that owned our house before us were hippies. Like the wood stove had pipes that ran into the hot water heater.
Oh, okay.
Like a fan from the living room that went through like a living room closet into the bedroom I had.
Okay.
And so like I purposefully like cracked open the closet door in the living room so I could see through the fan to like wait for Santa. And
that's great.
And it was like, guys, you need to go to, because I have two brothers, and it was like, okay, guys, you all need to go to bed. And so we go to bed, and I would set my alarm every 30 minutes to see if I could touch Santa.
You were determined to meet Santa.
Awesome.
And Santa and the elf were pretty like good at working around my half-hour schedule. And so like I would peek through and it's like, oh, there's stuff there. Like,
you would just be there. Oh, it's magic.
right.
How did I miss them?
Right.
Jeez.
So do you like
Well,
do you
that's
like
great.
Christmas music? If so, do you have a favorite Christmas song?
No. I mean, I rotate because they're like this holiday season, I really was like, I need upbeat Christmas music.
Right.
Mhm.
There's
Right.
Christmas music that just sounds almost like a funeral dirge, and I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah.
Christmas. Like, let's
Yeah.
So I found a whole new radio app called AccuRadio, and I listened
Okay.
to it's called Christmas Party, their channel, and it just has upbeat Christmas music, and so
Nice.
Yeah.
like there is one that I've liked this holiday season called Sugar and Booze. That it's just every time I hear it, I just
Nice.
laugh out loud.
Just the name
Yeah.
alone sounds great.
Right.
Mhm.
But like I'll rotate through. Like there'll be some classic stuff. There'll be some
Mhm.
old rock stuff. And like you can't help but sing it. I remember like the other day I was in the store and everything's playing music
Sure.
and so like
Yeah.
I'm just sort of like humming to myself and this lady comes down the aisle and she's humming the same song and like we both realize that we're singing the same thing and we just keep singing and we're just
That's great. That's great.
Sean, do you like Christmas music?
I do enjoy Christmas music.
You have
I
a
actually, so I'm like the DJ at work.
Oh, okay.
Because our radio is not the best, so we only get like 2 stations. So we bought a receiver, Bluetooth for my iPod. So my iPod's always there. It's like the work iPod. I always add stuff to it. So every Christmas season, it's a month, and I know I'm sure some of them hate me, of Christmas songs.
Yep.
I will say, this one's kind of dark. If you have a chance, Nipper Claus after the show, look it up. I just discovered a holiday song that is, let's just say, not your average holiday song. It was made in the 70s, no joke. It was made for real. It's a song by Linda Bennett, and I think Perry Como is a producer on it, so that should say enough. And it's, let's just say it's interesting. It starts off so innocently and then just goes in a turn that you would never expect. I've not played it at the work yet because I'm scared of how they would react. But it's probably one of my favorite current songs just because of how off the rails it is.
So I like Christmas music, I think, in a way that most people don't like Christmas music because I could listen to it every day of the year.
It's so good. It just
to
makes
my
you
wife's
happy.
dismay.
Yeah.
But growing up, I had the Jackson 5 Christmas album on 8-track.
Oh, it was so good.
On 8-track, and I would listen to that thing all the time. But if I'm being honest, and I had to pick a favorite, it would be Bing Crosby and David Bowie, the little drummer boy.
That's a good one.
An amazing,
That's a good one.
Christmas song.
Mhm.
A lot of interesting history behind that song. When they first got into the studio to record it, it was for a Bing Crosby Christmas special on NBC, and it's actually his last televised appearance before he passes away.
Okay.
But when they got in there, originally they were just going to sing the little drummer boy, and David Bowie's people didn't feel that it showcased his voice well enough. So the part that he sings over top, they wrote right there.
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
they recorded the song. So yeah, definitely a favorite of mine.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So do you have a best Christmas present ever and a worst Christmas present ever?
Putting you on the spot now, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so bad. I don't know. It had to have been like a video game system was probably one of my like
Best.
any of them. Any of them.
Of course. Yeah.
It wasn't, when I say this wasn't the worst gift, but it was definitely the worst Christmas, I would say. Like my parents are divorced.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And while they were divorced, like I always felt like it was fun, it was festive. Like we always
Yeah.
and and me and my brothers would go over to my dad's house, and it was just like. It was like the house that Christmas forgot. Like there
Oh
was,
no! Oh no!
This is the house I grew up in, and I'm like, we had lights and trees and all this stuff. I shouldn't say multiple, just a tree, but like
A tree.
nothing. Like there wasn't any of that. And I was like, okay, I get it. Like, and I remember it was so cold in that house, and we my dad is retired military, and he was working with a military contractor.
Okay.
And he came back, and one of the boats he came back and he got stuff from like the boat gift shop. And like when I was a kid, like I loved that stuff. Like I was like, this is super cool.
Yeah,
and
right.
He came back with like a cup from whatever the ship was he had been on, and I was like, oh. And he's like, I think he could tell. Like I thought, like I was waiting for something more.
You're like, wait, where's the gift?
Right. And it was like, oh no, it's great. And like there's part of me that's like, that was kind of a cool like thing he connected when I was a kid, that like, so I recognized that there was thought behind it, and that to me was cool, like in that respect.
Yeah.
But it was
The
just
thought was there, but you're like,
right. It was like
just missed the mark.
and it was sort of like we were having dinner in the living room on like TV trays, and that was Christmas dinner.
oh
And it was, like,
jeez.
I don't even remember what it was, but it was not a very Christmassy meal, and it was like, what are we doing? Everything just felt like like there was just this weight. Sorry.
All right. So I'm gonna ask you a series of rapid fire yes or no questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit you with some things. So I'm gonna start off simply. Eggnog.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. My whole family hates it. I'm the only person that's like, no, eggnog is amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just me, my mom, and my sister-in-law.
Candy canes.
Mixed. I
Okay.
have to be in the mood.
good call.
I have to be in the mood.
Yes.
Elf on the Shelf.
No.
Yes.
Yes,
right
for the
call.
win. Yeah, good
Right
call.
call. Snoop on the stoop.
Snoop on the stoop.
I don't get the whole like. There's the whole new thing about Elf on the Shelf that's now doing pranks. Like,
Oh, dude, it's
Cutting
yeah,
up
it's
huge
It's out of
no,
hand.
it's getting too much.
I don't get it. I
Too
don't-
much.
No, it's not. It's not cute. It's not fun.
No.
This is why kids go to therapy someday.
Dancing Santa Claus dolls.
What?
Like the Santa
Dancing?
Claus dolls that dance to music. Like
Yeah.
hit the button and they dance.
Oh, I'm gonna say no.
All right. Opening presents or just one on Christmas Eve?
Ooh. Typically no. I think
Typically, no.
I think it's a cool
Yes.
idea, but
I'm against it.
See, so my family is very I don't know if you want to say traditional or non-traditional, but so since pretty much all of us are grown up other than my nieces and nephews, what we do is Christmas Eve the adults open the gifts, and then Christmas Day the kids open the gifts.
Oh, that's
so
kinda
on day
That's not bad. Yeah.
the focus is the kids.
Yeah.
So
Okay
Eve
with
is the adults, Day is the kids.
That's cool.
That
in
makes more
that
sense.
context, I like that. Like that's neat.
Yeah.
This one I'm hoping this is a yes. Elf the movie.
No.
What?
Ooh.
Ooh. Wow.
Oh,
I'm-
man.
Hot take.
I'm not a-
Hot take.
I'm not a Will Ferrell fan.
Oh,
Okay.
You're
all
a
right.
cotton-headed ninny muggins.
All right. Well,
That
then
hurts.
no Will Ferrell. Let's go Jim Carrey as the Grinch. Yeah. Okay. See. So-
Two wrong answers in a
Two
row.
wrong answers. In a row.
Oh.
Not, I will say though, it's not my go-to. Like if it's on, I'll watch, but I don't go
Yeah.
out of my way to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yes.
That's three, Ralph. That's three
All
wrong
right.
answers.
Again,
Wait.
sort of depends. And it is also one of those like if the TV's on and it's on, like okay, because again, I'm typically working on other stuff.
Right. Right.
Listen, I have what can only be described as a hatred for not just Hallmark Christmas movies, but Hallmark movies in general. And I tell
Ralph
my
is not a
wife-
fan.
I
Ralph
tell
is
my
not a
wife all
fan.
the time. I'm like, listen, if Hallmark movies are where careers go to die, Hallmark Christmas movies are where Christmas spirit goes to die. And she does not appreciate that at all.
I want to be in a
I'm
Christmas,
sure she wouldn't.
I want to be in a Hallmark Christmas movie so bad. I genuinely do.
That's good.
You know what? I'm not kidding. I have a connection that could probably get you in a Hallmark Christmas movie. 'Cause
Bam! There
I
you
went
go.
to high school with a
There
girl
you go.
who did a podcast, and they ended up becoming like the official podcast of Hallmark movies.
Oh,
And
wow.
So she's like,
awesome.
she's got Hallmark connections. I will make this
Like,
happen.
I-
Even though I don't.
There have been two that in the last like few years that like I don't know, like randomly like appealed to me. There was one
Right.
set in New Orleans. She hadn't met her dad. Her dad passes away. She finds out, and then like she's a famous author who writes under a pen name, and it was like it was kind of a neat story of how the family found each other.
Right.
Because it was more family than it was like per se romantic.
Gotcha.
And then the other one it was three brothers, so I kind of connect to that. And I felt like it might have been, I don't know if it was necessarily set in Maryland, but it was set in the waterfront Maryland. I'm half a mile from the Chesapeake Bay. And so it was like three brothers. One of either another brother or a sister had passed away, and so they're raising their niece together.
Right.
And it was just a very heartwarming family story. And so like those two randomly are in my brain.
So I feel like there's a double standard with Hallmark Christmas movies, because the same people that will watch Hallmark Christmas movies in the beginning of November are the same people that will complain about me putting Christmas music on all day on Black Friday. So I feel like there's a
There
double
you go.
standard there. Yeah.
No.
No.
Excuse you.
I will listen to Christmas music.
Just called you out, Ralph.
Right.
Boy.
I mean,
All right. Well,
All right.
when
So
I was in high school, I was in band, and we started practicing Christmas music in like
oh yeah,
September.
yeah.
you have
So-
to. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. One more before Ralph hits you with another kind of a hard hitting question.
Ooh,
Christmas carolers at your door.
Christmas calendars?
No.
Christmas carolers.
Christmas carolers.
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 I'm gonna say yes,
Okay. All right.
but somebody
But-
did it this year on Thanksgiving Day,
Oh no.
and it was
Canceled.
they were-
Canceled.
There was a little too much Mary going on, and like,
Right.
like
Yes, that's the key to Christmas caroling. It's the only way to stay warm.
Exactly.
All right.
All right.
So
Hit him with this one, Ralph.
all right. Here's this. This is a personal question from me.
Yeah.
I have to know, who was the better Santa Claus, Mick Foley or Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Mick Foley.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Okay. Up in your logo. Don't think I didn't notice. Up in your logo, in the middle of it, I'm like, why do you have two Santa Clauses? Because you have Mick Foley, and then you have a guy dressed like Santa.
Yeah.
I love that you actually
yes.
like looked and noticed that.
Okay.
The very
So-
first image on the screen was that logo. I was like, oh, look.
Right.
Yeah. No. I get. Well, I made that logo, so I
Yeah,
get
that was Ralph.
but,
Oh, that was all Ralph, baby.
yeah, Mick Foley is an amazing Santa Claus just because of the time and effort that he puts into it.
Right.
I
Oh,
mean,
he's so into it.
he's got-
he
he's got a
is
very expensive
Santa Claus.
suit.
Yeah.
I met him at a book signing one time. He did a book signing in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, the Christmas city, because he wrote a book about being a Santa Claus.
Yep.
So I went to the book signing, and I was going to be playing Santa Claus somewhere, and he did like he read part of the book and then did a question and answer beforehand, and I got to ask him some tips on being a Santa Claus. But he goes all
Nice.
out. He dyes his beard, he dyes his
Oh,
hair.
he goes
like he just
Full
he's-
on. He is
yeah.
Santa Claus.
it was kind of, I mean, it was kind of like a rigged question, I guess, because you almost had to pick Mick Foley, but
yeah.
there's just
Yeah.
something about seeing Santa Claus, give
Saint
somebody
Mick.
the Stone Cold Stunner.
Good old Saint
it's,
Mick.
It's I don't know. All
It's
right.
Santa drinking a beer. Like,
All right.
Yeah,
that's I'm not saying it's wrong. Like it was Stone Cold. It was Stone Cold Santa was cool.
Right.
yeah.
Then Mick Foley is Santa. Like,
Yeah. It makes, yeah. All right. Before we move on to your main event here, we have one more thing to add. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Funniest movie of all time?
No.
Holiday movie? No?
Funniest
Are you
holiday
not a
movie
fan?
of all time? I think I got burned out on it, honestly.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't watch it too much. Like I would
Oh,
rather
I love
watch,
it so much. It's
I would
so,
rather
it still
watch that than
holds up to
Christmas
this day.
Story.
So good.
What
I
would you
love it.
rather watch?
I would rather watch National Lampoon's than Christmas Story.
Oh,
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, you
I'm
wanna talk
sorry,
about
Ralphie.
getting-
like,
well,
why are
you
you
know-
still on 24/7 on Christmas? Like, I can't.
Yes, but they
Your eye out already.
Right.
one of the stations does a 24 hours of Christmas Vacation now too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that might
it's
be neat. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I miss when it's not called Family Channel anymore, is it? Like, it's
I don't think it is.
Freestyle.
No.
I think.
Yeah.
Freeform, yeah.
Like they used to do like they've had like the 25 Days of Christmas, like this whole big thing.
Yeah,
it used to
every
be
year.
like non-stop all day long Christmas.
Oh yeah, it was just marathons.
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't really do that much anymore. And I miss that. I really miss it.
So what is your favorite Christmas movie? Let's go there real quick.
Okay, if we're one movie, Santa Claus. Not
Okay.
The Santa Claus, like
No, Santa Claus.
Santa Claus the movie. John Lithgow was the bad guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Was that the one with Dudley Moore?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Real elf.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
That is a good one. I do
See,
like
for
that.
me, and I'm probably gonna get some flack for this from both of you. Who knows? But for me, growing up, and I think I enjoyed it so much because it was the movie that was on for me at all times, and that's Jingle All the Way.
That's fair.
Jingle All the Way is a good
I
movie.
loved that movie. I would watch that on repeat and not care because it was so good. I loved Turbo Man, Turbo Time, Arnold's, just him and the guy who played or didn't play Sinbad, or Shazam, the movie that doesn't exist.
There was a TV movie, and this is actually for something we're going to talk about later. This was something I was going to bring up. It was called The Night They Saved Christmas. It's an 80s TV movie. Has Jacqueline Smith in it.
It's amazing. I talk about it. I talk about it every year because my mom showed it to me one year, and it became like a tradition every year to find it.
Right.
Watch. I think we had it on VHS.
Yeah,
because it's so good. That actually, when they go to the North Pole, you actually feel like this is like a legit thing.
The North Pole. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, Sean, you know what time it is?
I think it's time to get into the main event. Let's go. So, keeping with the Christmas theme, our good friend, or I should say the president here, Phil, gave us top 5 Christmas movies?
Specials.
Specials. Sorry,
Christmas
specials.
Specials. All right.
All right. Let's dive in. Go. However you want to do it, you can go out of order, 5 to 1, your choice. But let's start you off.
I'm gonna go I'll go 5 to 1.
Okay. 5 to 1.
Right. Yep.
Number five is the animated "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." The little mice.
Oh yeah, that was
It
a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, I like, and again, when I'm into something, I dig into it. So like, I know the whole background of like why it didn't. It was supposed to be a claymation, style like the other Franklin Ross movies.
Oh, okay.
And so
Okay.
they made it animated like.
I loved those claymation movies, all of them. I just thought they were so fun and different, and just yes.
I agree.
All right.
Am I doing my whole list? Or are we going around and then?
Nope, it's you.
No,
This is your list.
all
Oh, this is my
Your-
list. Okay,
This is your list.
Your episode, your list. You are the prez.
Yes.
So it's your.
gotcha. I'm gonna go 4 with The Night They Saved Christmas.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I again as a kid that was on repeat a lot. I feel like we probably also had. I don't think we had it on like a real VHS. I think like we recorded it and like
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Had it saved. Yeah.
right. The Santa Claus is coming to town
God.
with Burgermeister von Burgermeister.
Oh, I
like,
love that character so much. I love him. He was so good. Just the name alone, you're like, yep, Burgermeister.
was it Burgermeister von Meister Burger?
It was one of those
Burger.
two.
Yeah,
It was one of those two combined. I just loved even like the tunes, like they were sort of like almost remixed, like your classic Holly tunes by weaving in the story inside the songs. I just love that. I love that.
I know that, and it's funny because it's based off of, I can't remember the name of the book it's based off of, and they took a lot of the like probably pagan-esque sort of things out
Right.
of it. But then there's a cartoon that they've made since then that it has all of those things like reinserted, like
Oh, geez.
spirits that gave Santa like some of his abilities to be immortal.
Right.
Anyway, A Muppet Family Christmas.
Oh,
it was
okay.
one of Jim Henson's last actual projects before he passed.
Right.
So he's in it in the end, and it mixes the main Muppets that Fraggle Rock, the Sesame Street Muppets, like all in like this one Christmas special. And on YouTube,
so amazing.
It still exists.
Oh, cool. Okay,
I can't find it in any other form. YouTube, and it's great. But my all-time favorite that I am so upset that I missed this year is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh yeah, that's like in my mind, like the quintessential special to watch every year.
Wow.
Every year, it's
I have it on DVD, and I'm like, I need to bust it out.
It's just so good. It's just, again, it's one of those things where it tells the story perfectly, and it's just, I can watch any and all of those claymation style films because they're all just, for me, it's more of like the behind the scenes, like the audio video guy in me is like, how long did this actually take to make? Because I'm sure it took hours because that's all, claymation. Like they have to like keep changing the scene every second to make it actually move. So that to me is just crazy that they took that much time and effort to make an hour-and-a-half movie, but like each character just slightly, just enough to make it look like they're moving. It's just crazy.
Right.
So for those of you that are listening on the podcast version of this, you will not see that there's a banner running across the bottom of the screen that says it's a Saturnalia miracle. And unfortunately, I have to take that banner down right now because I cannot believe that we are sitting here discussing Christmas and we are discussing Christmas specials and nobody brought up A Charlie Brown Christmas. Like how do you have a discussion about Christmas specials without that?
I saw that on your shirt and I was like, I was so close. I was so close. And it's up there. Like I feel like that's up there. Oh gosh, what was that? Something else was just popped into my brain that I'm like, A White Christmas.
Of course.
Like
of course.
Classic. Like I feel like almost every Christmas season I'm watching A White Christmas somewhere.
I mean, I feel like at this point they I don't know if you want to say overplayed, but Miracle on 34th Street or whatever that Christmas movie was, the old one, that one was played like, I remember when they had those marathons, it was always that one. It was either that one or it was A Christmas Story. Just every few hours, just repeat.
So here's an interesting fact because I like White Christmas and White Christmas is good, but for me, Holiday Inn is a much better movie.
And I've yet to actually watch Holiday Inn.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Here's the interesting thing. Everybody thinks that the song White Christmas came from the movie White Christmas, and it didn't.
No.
White Christmas came out in 1954. Holiday Inn came out in 1942, and that's the very first movie that had White Christmas. So if you're trying to be a Christmas realist here, but yeah, I there's nothing wrong with White Christmas. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I just happen to like Holiday Inn much better. But it doesn't matter because nobody mentioned Charlie Brown Christmas.
Nobody mentioned Charlie Brown Christmas.
Forget all of you. Christmas is canceled.
We canceled Christmas now. It's over.
And my wife is going to be so disappointed that I canceled Christmas over this, but principles, standards.
Standards.
I'm the president of Christmas.
There you go.
You know
there
what?
You go.
Though I have a Santa suit that's in my car right now.
Again, the president who literally has everything.
That's so cool.
Everything.
In the car. I love it. Just say you're ready to spring into action at any moment.
At any point, man.
And I have the Kurt Russell Christmas Chronicles from Netflix.
Dude, I actually thought that was a good movie. That was
really
fun.
good.
Like
that was really good. Yeah.
Have you guys seen the Capital One commercial with John Travolta as Santa?
Yes.
No.
We listen, Sean, you need to look that up on YouTube.
Okay.
We need a movie with John Travolta as Santa because that Santa.
Oh yeah.
I feel like if they did like a multiverse of Santas and you had like Kurt Russell Santa and his Santa together, it'd be unstoppable. Because the Christmas Chronicles was really good.
Yeah, that was really fun. Yeah. Did you guys like the sequel to it?
Yeah, I thought it was really fun.
Yeah,
I like Kurt Russell's version of Santa. It's different.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's like a much cooler version of Santa.
It's different for sure.
So like, we always contend like are some movies like Batman Returns or
Right.
Die Hard is it a Christmas movie? There is a movie with Santa in it that isn't a Christmas movie, and it's one of my favorite movies.
What movie?
An animated movie. It's called Rise of the Guardians.
Okay.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's so good, and I can't remember now who does the voice of Santa, and it's a Russian Santa,
Oh jeez.
and he's big. I'm Big Burly Santa, and it's like, this is amazing.
That just sounds amazing.
That's like I have an Ivan Drago T-shirt that I wear, and I tell my wife that's my Christmas T-shirt because
Nice.
Rocky IV is a Christmas movie.
There you go.
I mean, they fight on Christmas Eve. I
mean,
you can't
yeah.
get much more Christmas than that.
I am a ridiculous Doctor Who nerd. Like I
Oh,
love,
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
love the show Doctor Who.
Ugh.
All right.
I have to admit, some of the Christmas specials are pushing whether or not they're Christmas specials.
Mhm,
Right.
Sure.
And so like I'm really looking forward because on Christmas Day they're going to have a new Christmas special.
Yep.
But I have a feeling it's not going to be a Christmas special. It's just going to happen to be airing on Christmas.
Right.
Maybe I'm
It's
wrong.
very much
I mean,
possible.
The
You never
previews
know.
looked like there was in a festive themed way.
I hope.
All right, without
right,
going too far off topic, because I don't want to go off on tangents.
No,
but,
no,
you
we're-
know. But because
We have
we're
to go
here
off on this
and
one.
because I found somebody who's as much into it as I am, what are your initial thoughts on the new Doctor?
I'm all about it.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, let me ask you this then, because apparently this caused a lot of controversy. You watched the specials, right?
Yes.
What were your thoughts on
Spoiler alerts.
Yeah,
Spoiler alerts in
spoilers.
case anybody has
Right,
not watched
spoilers,
the specials
sorry.
yet.
We'll try to give my non-spoilery review.
Well, no, it's just a simple question. What are your thoughts on the bi-generation? 'Cause that was a huge Doctor Who debate about why this is happening. But I thought when I watched it, it was really freaking cool and different. And the way they ended David's story for me was perfect.
So yes to all of that. Like, you're in this construct of a show that you have to like develop some new mythos for.
Right.
I think Russell T Davies, who's the showrunner,
Yeah, he is.
who now has bought the rights to distribute Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He is going like, all right, I have to do something different with the show and set it on a different kind of playing field and path now.
Right.
And so I think like what some of the things we don't know yet as fans is then what happens next.
Yeah.
And the big thing that sort of ends the specials with the new Doctor is he is like so one of the lines he says, because now with this bi-generation, the Doctors both sort of exist now.
Sort of, yeah.
Right. And so David Tennant is David Tennant's Doctor's on Earth. Ncuti Gatwa is now traveling time and space.
Right.
Mhm.
And so one of the things he says to David Tennant is, we're Time Lords, so we've also done rehab out of sequence.
Right.
So he's the 15th Doctor who's healed and recovered and has gone through the dealing with all the trauma he's had.
Yeah.
While the 14th Doctor, David Tennant, is still dealing with it and trying to recover from it.
Yeah.
And so- which I don't think like we've seen the outcome of what that means and all that.
Sure.
Yeah.
The thing that I am most challenged by though with it is in commentary on the actual episode, Russell T Davies has said, "Oh, it wasn't just this regeneration that did a bi-generation. All of the Doctors now through all of space and time have now bi-generated."
Right.
And it's like,
Whoa. Yeah.
and what does that mean? What other impacts could that lead to? And not that, and this isn't they've put out like little screen caps of like, hey, look at this one of the older Doctors and one of the companions in the TARDIS together, in the new TARDIS together. And it's like, why do you have
Why?
that
Yeah.
together?
Yeah.
Why would this random Doctor be on your set?
Right.
So I'm waiting to see like what
Yeah,
what is the outcome of this.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the new stuff. I've been Doctor Who is like my second love to wrestling is Doctor Who.
All right,
wrestling is
so-
like my number one, but then Doctor Who's like,
So here's
Doctor Who.
here's a question for everybody:
all right.
Who's the best Doctor?
David
Oh, see, I was just having this talk the other day
Yep.
with my friends, and I'm so torn.
You
because-
and I have never talked about Doctor Who, and I am as big a Doctor Who nerd. as
I
you
didn't
are.
know. I didn't
Yeah.
know. He's about to bring. Oh, you have the screwdriver.
sonic screwdrivers.
Nice.
Love
Mine's
it.
somewhere. Mine's gone somewhere.
Yeah.
Nice. You have all of them or most of
Oh,
them.
look at this.
I love that. Yes.
So For those
all the
listening,
screwdrivers.
Stamper Claus is just pulling out sonic screwdriver.
Just screwdrivers.
After sonic screwdriver.
Nice.
Oh, the
Dalek. Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
That was a Dalek Funko Pop.
I have a Matt Smith. I have a
Funko TARDIS.
I have a
Awesome.
Matt Smith Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, this guy is.
Dude, he has all of
into
them.
who?
He literally has
Oh,
all
yeah.
of them.
I have
Um,
some
movie and-
but it's a little buried over there. So
But so I can't choose. I'm torn between Matt, David, and Peter. Because
I'm sorry, I don't.
because after Matt, I didn't. Matt was Peter, right? Yeah. After Matt, because I loved Matt, and I loved the whole story with Clara. That I think she's one of my favorite modern day companions. I didn't know how they were going to keep up with Matt, or with Peter being 13th with Clara. And when they started doing it, the first episode I was like, okay, all right, I'm on the fence. But as soon as they started really, going through it, I'm like, okay, I actually like this dynamic of like this actor is kind of reset to where he's kind of trying to remember everything and he can't, and Clara's there to help him out.
Yeah.
But also he's also the doctor. I don't know. I just love that. I loved the more harder edged of the doctor. Right? He wasn't as emotional or as like carefree as say Matt or David.
It took me a long time to get into Peter.
I
I
love
was
Peter.
not a fan right off the bat. It took me a long time to get into him.
I didn't like a lot of the writing during. I don't know. I felt like I love David Tennant's stuff so much
Yeah.
that I felt like when Matt Smith got there, though there were some good stories, that I felt like it took like that moment of transition for the writing,
Right.
to, like sort of catch up to Matt Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same thing happened when we got Peter Capaldi. I was like,
Right.
this writing does not. This was written for other doctors. This
Right.
There
Yeah.
was even one episode where I was like, this was written for David Tennant. Like just
Yeah.
the way it was being delivered.
Feel.
And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Clara, I felt like I would say never. The vibe for me never fit fully with Clara and Peter.
Right.
And so when Clara left and he forgets Clara, I thought then you got a better Peter Capaldi doctor.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And I thought Jodie Whittaker was excellent as the Doctor.
Yeah.
In some of the worst written Doctor Who since Colin Baker. Like,
Right.
I was very disappointed with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, only because, and I've seen her in a lot of other things, and I
Right.
think she is a tremendous actress. I just didn't ever feel like she fit in the role of the Doctor. It just, to me, it didn't feel right. That
Right.
Not for any other reason than she just, it seemed like a character that was meant to play the Doctor, but was never meant to be the Doctor, at least for me.
I gotcha.
But for me, David Tennant, there's nobody touching him. I will say that if I give anybody second place, it would be Matt Smith, but
Yeah.
not necessarily just because of Matt Smith. I think Amy Pond is easily
That's the whole story.
the best.
Mhm.
I think Amy Pond is easily the best companion. For me, I think she's the best companion, and I think her dynamic with Matt Smith and just the way all that went down.
Right.
For me, I think that makes, because honestly, I think Matt Smith is probably the most sympathetic Doctor.
Yeah.
Like I can feel what he's feeling.
Yeah.
Not that I can't with David Tennant, because he's had some moments too. But
Oh yeah.
with losing Amy Pond, and just
Yeah.
there are moments in Matt Smith's arc where you just you feel his pain in a way that I don't think you do with other doctors.
I think my
So that
favorite
puts him
fun
up there.
fact about Matt Smith and Amy Pond, or that doctor, and Ralph, you may or may not know this,
Mm-hmm.
but when they were filming Matt's regeneration scene,
Mm-hmm.
that show with Clara, the scene where Matt takes off his coif and finds the key.
Mm-hmm.
That in that same episode, you see Amy come back at the end to say bye.
Yeah.
Amy at the time was filming Guardians of the Galaxy, so she was also wearing a wig. So they were both bald
wow.
in that scene
Yeah.
because they were both doing movies where they had their heads
crazy.
shaved. So Amy has a wig and Matt had a wig for that show.
All right. So, all right. So we've gotten off
Yeah,
on a
Doctor
tangent
Who
on
for,
Doctor
like,
Who, but I will say, Phil, you are invited back anytime to
Anytime you
discuss
want.
Doctor Who with us. We need to do like a Doctor Who episode.
A whole Who, a whole Who
for it.
special.
So ridiculously for it.
Awesome. All right. So before we wrap things up here with you, let's hop in and talk about some upcoming events. All right. So,
What's going on,
I'm still jamming
Yeah.
out to music. I'm just
dude? We say that every episode. Is that for for those listening? And I'm sure at this point it's ad nauseum. But every time, every time our videos play, even if we're not on live and we just go in here to watch it, we'll watch it, dance to it, and then
yeah.
leave.
Oh yeah, we'll hop on, we'll watch a video, dance to it, and just go about our
Just
business.
peace out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. All right. So
What do you got coming up?
yeah,
Um,
what do you got coming up?
So you can check me out with Wrestling Revolver. Sorry, getting tongue tied. Wrestling
Bah.
Revolver returns Thursday, January 25th to Dayton, Ohio.
Awesome.
Then February 3rd and 4th is MCW Pro Wrestling featuring Matt Riddle.
Nice.
We will also have a fan jam that weekend as well, so you'll be able to come out and see Dolph Ziggler.
Nice.
I feel like we're just announcing like everybody. So like by the time I'm saying all this, like
Yeah.
there's more to come. So
Yeah, right. More to be announced.
That's going to be a huge show.
Yeah, it sounds like an awesome show.
When MCW does shows like that, they are always big. They are always
Absolutely.
a good time. You guys get the names.
and that weekend's gonna be so great because on the 3rd, which is the Saturday, we're in Hollywood, Maryland, which is 30 minutes from my house. It's like
Nice.
the closest place.
Close
for me.
by. There you go.
Which
There
is
you go.
Great. And it's become the second home for MCW because that's a venue that's also drawing 800 to 1,000 people.
Right.
And then we go the next day back up to Joppa, Maryland, which is their home. And we know like we're gonna get us another solid crowd of like 800 to 1,000 people up there. So
Right.
really looking forward to it. And then on February 17th, and I feel like I'm forgetting stuff in between, but February 17th, Revolver returns to Grand Prairie, Texas, just south of Dallas. We just announced the main event. It's going to be Leo Rush versus Chris Bay.
Oh man, that
We
sounds
just announced,
awesome.
Monster Sauce. So that's Alex Zane and Lance Archer versus GYV.
Wow. What a stacked. You got some stacked cards going on. buddy.
Mansoor's going to be there. Like, so
yes.
we're
I love
like,
him.
yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane. So looking very
Crazy.
forward to the next couple of months.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You got a lot of
a lot of cool
really
stuff
cool
going
stuff
on.
coming up. Yeah. All right. So of course, people can follow you on socials. Got the link.
There we
right
go.
There.
I don't know why I put my
Trust-
microphone like it was
trust-
actually here.
Trust in Phil.
Trust in Phil.
Yeah. So we've got a couple shows coming up.
We got a bunch of stuff lined up. Shall we
so-
roll out the carpet? I'll throw up some
do it.
prompts and you can speak about it.
Yeah. Let's
Let's
do it.
go into the big one, Ralph. What we got going on for next year? And I'll wait to post the graphic until you say the name.
So for New Year's Eve, we've got a huge episode coming up. It is our spectacular, great and devious New Year's Eve with the man himself, Ultramanus Black. So we are super excited for that one. Then we're going to continue rolling into January. We've got on January 7th, we've got Sydney Bacabella coming up.
Oh, big one.
Phil Stamper is not a fan
Not a
of
fan.
Sydney Bacabella. That's correct. All right. So on the 14th, we've got Pancakes and Abby Jane
Mm-hmm.
joining us.
The happy couple, they just got engaged.
Yeah,
Yes,
they got
that is
engaged. They
correct.
did. They
The
did.
newly engaged couple. Following them the following week on the 21st, we've got the outfielders, Weber Hatfield and Shay McCoy. So we're
And then-
excited about that.
I won't be here for this one, but I think it's going to be a freaking riot. I can't wait to
Yes, sir.
watch it back when I get back from the cruise. But
Sean will be on the Jericho cruise, so joining me,
Oh, very
Sir
cool.
William Avery Esquire, the esteemed Sir William Avery Esquire, who joined us last week, and he will be my special guest co-host for that episode. So we will be talking to him that week. That'll be a lot of fun. What else we got, Sean?
We got
Moving into February.
One of my closest friends. He's in the Monster Factory. He's the Italian Tank, making his podcast debut. Can't wait to see him.
4th. Yep.
And then another person I met on the cruise. I can't wait to have her on. Selena Hakate. Shout out to her. Shout out to Johnny Pierce, The Cold Hard Truth. Watch that episode 19.
Yep.
If you haven't watched it already.
February 11th.
Then I can't wait for this episode because it's going to be fun and silly and just, who knows, the three faces of Oliver. We're going to meet not one, not two, but 3 different characters of the same name.
Yeah,
and then
18th.
I think a big one for us, probably one of our bigger ones to close out our schedule so far, is one Shaza McKenzie.
Yep.
Episode
Shaza
43
us on the 25th.
So we have a lot of stuff going on. I don't know what happened to you, but you're back.
He's back.
The screen went totally black, and for a while, like we were all still talking. I'm like, okay, this is fine, everything's fine, and then it all just.
All right. Well, of course, we want to thank all our fans for tuning in again this week, joining us here on Christmas Eve, or be it Christmas Day, joining us on the podcast.
Yes.
So we want to thank everybody for spending some Christmas time with us. And of course, we have to thank our very special guest who graciously joined us this week to celebrate the Christmas holiday with us, and that is our good friend Stamper Claus himself. It is the president of professional wrestling, Phil Stamper. You can find him on social media at Trust in Phil, and it's been fantastic talking to you. It's been great having you on.
It's been a lot of fun.
You are always welcome here on Opinion City, and we will have to get you back for our Doctor Who special.
Right.
Now that we all know what big Whovians we are. All right, man. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, Sean, another episode in the books. Another fun episode. Yeah, these things tend to go off in all different directions, but it's always such a good time when they do.
Listen, if you can't have fun going on some sort of tangent, like
absolutely.
Our brains can only go so far.
Yeah. So again, thanks for joining us. Merry Christmas to everybody out there.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
We hope to see you next week.
Hope you get every gift that you ever wanted and then some.
Yes. We hope to see you on New
all the
Year's
candy
Eve
canes
here with us. Yes, get all
Despite
the candy
what
canes,
Phil says.
all the eggnog. Watch the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah,
that's the real special.
That's the true one. Right
that's the true special. That's right. But yeah, it's been another great episode. Of course, again, thanks to everybody. You can reach out to us at opinioncitypod@gmail.com. If you're looking to be a guest, if you're looking to share your opinion with us, please do that.
Let us know what your thoughts are.
Yes.
Follow us on all the socials. Follow Ralph at RealRalph316. Follow me at Parmacheezel. You already know the spelling. I already told you a while ago. I'm not saying it again. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues, tell a stranger off the street.
Listen, when you see somebody with one of those bells and the red kettles for the Salvation Army,
let them know.
Give them a donation, but also tell them about Opinion City. So you can find us at Opinion City Pod. You can check out everything we do at Ben Frank Connect. You can check out everything that ABJ, our
follow
partner,
ABJ, follow our
podcast,
good buddy at Ben Frank Connect.
You can find out everything he's doing there, and
all his stuff.
Guys. It's been a Merry Christmas hanging out with you guys, and again, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
And we will see you next time.
Mm-hmm.
This is Ultimo Ann here. You're listening to Opinion City Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.